Now, the more that you learn about fish and fish tanks, sometimes it comes down to the less you actually know. Because at the end of the day, fish do exactly what fish do. And it is so often that I'll make a video with somebody's tank and all the fish are very happily and successfully living together. And in the comments section, there's always people saying you cannot do this and you cannot do that. Yet, the video that I'm showing is absolutely showing that you can do that. Now, at the moment, I've chucked this gourami in for free, only as a test, because we put the angels in here as a test, and they've actually worked out really well. Anyone that knows anything about fish would tell you an angelfish cannot go with cichlids like these. Yet, in a tank large enough, they are actually going in a tank like with the fish like these. Now I'm interested in this gourami to see how he goes. We are pushing the limits here, but you'll notice that gouramis have got those two big antennas underneath them, and the gouramis tend to hang on the surface. And those antennas are actually super sensitive, so then if there is anybody coming to attack this gourami from underneath, he'll get the heads up and he'll move out of the way. Now, is that adaptation enough for this fish to survive in a tank with such large other fish? I really don't know the answer to that. But once again, trying things is the only way that you learn. And the results of this time does not govern what will happen next time. It becomes a precedent for what happened, but it certainly doesn't mean that next time it will work. Because mixing fish is often no more than, will your dog get along with my dog? Some fish get along together and some don't. Sometimes I'll be involved in tanks where the owners are particularly fussy to make sure that everybody has the absolute highest chance of getting along, and then we may completely toe the line, and we may only mix the very most likely fish to get along, and somehow those fish still do not get along. Then there are other circumstances where people are happy to take risks and they put all these fish together that shouldn't be together, and somehow it all works. At the end of the day, there's not necessarily rhyme or reason for this. There's absolutely guidelines that you can go by, but once again, they're just guidelines to go by. They're not facts, because fish can decide to get along or fish can decide not to get along. And the results of these different outcomes can actually be extreme. So anyway, put a little note on the bottom of this video and tell me what fish have you mixed together that didn't work that should have, and also what fish have you mixed together that shouldn't work that didn't. Now, one thing I really encourage is, if anything happens in your aquarium that you're not sure about, or if you're just not getting the time to look after your aquarium like you should, there's a couple of things I really want you to do. One is grab your phone, make a good video of the aquarium so we can see it very clearly. Make sure you video any bits and pieces and filters and anything else we might need to see for the aquarium, and bring it down to Majestic Aquariums. Because down at Majestic Aquariums, if we can test the water and we can see what's going on, we can give you a very good snapshot understanding of what's going on in your tank, and we can give you some very basic action points to try and rectify that as quickly as possible. Now, the other thing is that, particularly if you're in the Sydney area and you're just not getting time to look after the aquarium, now, despite your good intentions, maybe you are just a little bit too busy and maybe the aquarium is not getting the attention that they need. So just let us know down at Majestic Aquariums, and we can send out one of our service team, and then they can service the aquarium for you. So even though that might cost you something, in the long run, it usually works out cheaper than having to replace your stock. And there's nothing more heartbreaking than losing your fish, especially if you're losing your fish for something that's absolutely avoidable. So servicing is just something that you just don't want to let slip, because it ends up costing you more in the long run. And it's not just the money that it costs you, it costs you your passion, because it's really disheartening when you see these animals that you grow to love suffering in any way, shape or form. So come and see us at Majestic Aquariums. If Majestic Aquariums is not your local aquarium store, because you're not lucky enough to live in Sydney, then what you want to do is find yourself a local aquarium store, and you need to find someone that knows what they're talking about, and more than that, you need to find someone that actually cares. If they care about your tank and you've got a good relationship with them, then you'll have a great tank. What you don't want to do is find someone that's a bullcrap artist, and you also don't want to be a bullcrap artist to them. It's so often that someone will say, oh, I clean my skimmer every week, but then I go and see the skimmer and honestly it hasn't been cleaned in a month. We're not stupid. So you want to find a shop that you got a good relationship with, and you want to treasure that relationship. You want to treat them properly, make sure you pay them properly, make sure you treat them properly, and then you want to find someone that's going to treat you properly. So a good relationship, the right information and the right equipment is how you have a great tank. Now you really want to aim to have animals that thrive. The aim is not spend as little as possible and do as little as possible for them to survive. Surviving is not enough. If you're going to take these animals, the only way you're going to get the joy out of them that you deserve and that they deserve is by aiming for these animals to absolutely thrive. So for any aquarium, especially for one this big, this fella here is your best friend. These Plecostomus, Gibbicep, bristlenose, any of these fish help to keep your algae down. If you're getting algae in the aquarium, sometimes it's just simplest to get more of these guys. Slowly get more of them, and they can actually do quite a thorough job. Also, how thorough a job they do depends on the individuals. Some individuals are very thorough, and other individuals are not so thorough. Well, ACI is settling in well. ACI are a beautiful little schooling cichlid. So anyway, this tank has gone very well. I've run out of time now. The tank's not quite full, but I'm hoping to come back in the next week or two, and then I'll get that top little bit set up, topped up. But anyway, off to the next job. Good fun.